So there's a mystery today surrounding Donald Trump, a man who effectively ghost wrote a physician's letter attesting to his astonishing health in the 2016 primary, a man who made a political ad questioning the fitness of his opponent, Hillary Clinton, a man who famously fat-shamed a supporter over a microphone at the podium at a rally, a man who was declared, medically speaking, clinically obese at his annual physical in February. Yesterday, with no advance warning and no indication on the schedule, Donald Trump headed up to Walter Reed National Medical Center for what the White House says were medical tests as part of the president's annual physical, just 8 months after his last annual physical. And given how opaque the Trump team has been about his health in the past, people today are wondering if the situation was more than just a routine early checkup. Everyone's back. You know, I worked in the White House, and there's a lot of tests you can do in the White House. You can certainly give blood. Yeah. You can certainly do any sort of lab work. They can send it out.
Often do. It's not just that you can, that you, they have.
As a staffer. So as a staffer, I could do lots of things.
Yeah. And the President of the United States often has doctors come and attends to them in a pretty sophisticated way. They can do a lot of stuff on site. So what the necessity is to leave the White House for? What is it you would actually have to go to Walter Reed for? You know?
Well, and color us skeptical, but here was the last White House doctor. Let's watch Ronnie.
Some people have, just great genes. I told the president that if he had a healthier diet over the last 20 years, he might live to be 200 years old. I don't know.
So he's going to live to 200, so we've got that.
I heard from a credible source, never gone wrong in the past with me, that indeed Donald Trump was just stir crazy on Saturday. It was too cold to golf. And so they checked the box, swore this to me. For what it's worth, that is one perspective that I heard that I tend to actually believe.
Look, I think if the White House was ever truthful about anything, this would be a much easier thing. That sort of thing would be the Occam's razor explanation. But they lie about everything all the time. And Stephanie Grisham today did the White House no favors by saying, I often give truthful responses.
This is my favorite thing she's ever said.
I was like, oh, the Titanic often missed icebergs except once. You know, the lack of trust and the hostile relationship between the working press and the pool press and everybody else with this White House is why you get this kind of thing. Now, was Donald Trump, has he been dead for months and replaced by a robot body double? Who can say? But, you know, I can't stand it. But the lack of trust they've built, they bought this problem for themselves. They brought this on their own because of their behavior.
You know, Heather, I've sat with President Bush when he had to disclose very personal, private tests, all this sort of invasive, intrusive things that you have to share with the public because you are the leader of the free world. It is part of, and not necessarily the most fun part of, but it's just part of the American presidency to be honest about your health. It's just a commentary that there are even questions about something like this.
Yeah, and that idea that actually what was happening was that he was stir crazy because it was too cold to golf. I just had to sit here and sort of react to that. You know, there are a lot of things the President of the United States could do with a Saturday if he can't get to the golf course, which he spent some plurality of his days in office doing. You know, he could go to a soup kitchen right across the river. You know, there are lots of hungry people. He could, take a meeting with some of the, aggrieved legislators, up and down his own ticket who are starting to get very nervous about him. He could, get to know some of the constituents who don't agree with him. There's so many different things he could have done. I find that very hard to believe that what he wanted to do was go over to Walter Reed.
Have you ever heard of a president who's had a multi-part physical?
No.
That's the other part. That's the other part that's so strange about this. And again, without being like super conspiracy theory-ish, but like the fact that he's doing it 8 months later, and the fact that he's doing it in 2 parts, really weird.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.